I was doing your introduction.
Yes, please.
I was doing your introduction, but from the look of things, that means I have to go back and do the introduction again so
No
that we can
problem.
start properly. Fine. So I will kindly ask everybody to mute their mic so that to prevent background noise while I take the introduction of our facilitator this evening. So thank you everyone for joining. Um, our facilitator, Madam Professor, is already with us, but before she takes the floor, I would like to quickly do a brief introduction of our facilitator, Professor Jostinah Wawasi Mwangombe, Senior Superintendent of Prisons and Head of Shimo Postal Institution and Boys Education Center, which is in Kenya, is internationally recognized for her leadership and peace work. Named a woman driver of peace and innovation by the Global Counter-Terrorism Forum 2023, she has received multiple honors, including the Best Woman in Leadership Award 2024, Outstanding Correction Officer Award 2024, Prison Reforms Trailblazer Award 2022, the McKinney Award, and the UN Service for Peace Medal. Recently, the International Peace Award winner 2025. A certified juvenile detention practitioner from Malta and subject matter expert from the International Peace Support Training Center. She has authored books such as The Still Symphony, Unleashing Her Potential, The Woman at the Center, My Web, and Transforming Juvenile Justice. Passionate about children's rights, she is also a certified sexual and gender-based violence instructor with FIRE and HHU University in US, and the founder of the Iron Sharpens Iron Mama Africa initiative. She holds the prestigious national honor of Order of the Grand Warrior of the Republic of Kenya. This evening, as we take the lecture, Navigating Leadership in Patriarchal Structures from Madam Professor Jostinah, please welcome on board Madam Professor as she takes the floor. So, Professor, over to you.
Thank you, Adeleke. Yeah, that's my profile, and I first wish to appreciate my brother for considering my participation as a mentor in this fellowship, and I'm glad that at this point, from where I started, as young as you guys, I am able now to stand and influence someone. So thank you so very much, Oasis, and our brother and the team, for organizing this and also for bringing me in as one of your facilitators or mentors. So I work for Kenya Prison Service. Just briefly, let me say that I have over 20 years of my experience within Kenya Prison Service, that is domestically as an in charge in 5 institutions, and also in training both junior and senior officers, and also internationally. I have participated in peacekeeping missions as a correction advisor, mentor and trainer at the Democratic Republic of Congo and a MONUSCO mission. There I had 2 years experience in peace mission, and I was able to influence a lot as a correction officer. So I appreciate God for that opportunity. And then again, in my international practice, I am a subject matter expert to date. Yeah, in occasions where we have trainings happening for UN staff at the International Peace Staff at the International Peace Training Center in Kenya, in a place called Karen, where we have the institute. I come in and train UN staff, both from the field and those in the HQ, and also UN partners and NGOs working in mission areas. And I handle child protection, the role of corrections in child protection in a post-conflict and peacekeeping environment. Again, at the international realm, I am a detention practitioner handling juvenile matters, so I'm a juvenile detention practitioner with the International Institute for Justice and the Rule of Law based in Malta. The International Institute for Justice and the Rule of Law is an inspired institution of the Global Counterterrorism Forum, which is closely related to the UN in matters prevention of and countering terrorism. So I appreciate, and I'm not coming in just as a practitioner, but as a person who, through God's grace, I've performed my duties with excellence. And that's why to date, I count 1, 2, 3 to 13 awards within my experience with the prisons or correctional service, both, as I mentioned, in Kenya and beyond. And I think now that this has worked for me, it's good that I market it and use it to influence you. So I'm here not only as a practitioner, as a mother, but I'm here to mention some few things that have made me to reach where I am. As I count my 48th birthday this year, I can say that my excellence didn't start today or yesterday. It's about the little things that I did, the decisions that I made. As a woman, I'm also a mother, so I haven't like excelled at the workplace and forgot about my social life. Oh, no. Yeah, let's try to keep our microphones off. Yeah, so yeah, from where I stopped, I'm saying that I am who I am today, not because I just woke up to be here, but because there are things that I did intentionally, consistently, that made me who I am. Crowned, or what you call, sometimes when you bake a cake, there is something that makes it very beautiful, icing. So everything that I've done has been iced up by God himself. And the excellence that I experience today is something that I can sit and share with you people, and pray that everyone in your own path, not only in correction, that it will help you to excel as a woman leader. Women have, God created them and are well endowed with skills that are very unique to men. Personal skills, these ones not gotten from the PhDs that we hold, or the masters, or the degrees or diplomas. No, natural. The other day I was speaking to women, and I told them that women inclusion in God's plan, even during the story, the creation, the beginning of this world and us as human beings, the story of creation. And I told them, when you go read your Bible or your Quran, and for us, I know there are people who don't believe in this, and we are here because in the spirit of inclusivity, we are all here. So for those who believe, and they are either Christians or Muslims, I just want to refer you back. Just go and check the holy books, the story of creation. You'll find that in the first day, God created, day 2, God created. And after everything that he did, he said, it was good. God created this, and so it was good. God created this, and it was good. God, you see. Then it reached a point at day 6 that he finished his work, his creation work, not him alone, but the 3, God the Father, God the Son, the Holy Spirit, for Christians. He decided to take a rest on the 7th day and wait until he came back. He has already done his work, commissioned, said, man, you'll be in charge of this and this, the trees. If you deforestate them, whatever is happening now, the climate change and whatever, it's God gave us everything to take care of it. Then when he came back after the rest, he found a man, and the man was not happy. And for the first time, even after he said it was very good on day 6 in his creation, he said it is not good. And what made God say it was not good? It's because there was no woman. That's the first time we find the word, it was not good. It is not good for man to be alone. So that's when God created a woman. So as I talk to you young women and leaders today or leaders tomorrow, I want to tell you that women were in God's plan as leaders. And if a man was bored because there was no woman, because that's what God saw, the man was bored. The man, despite giving him everything, they commissioned him to be in charge, he was not happy because there was no woman. I want to tell you here that in my opening remark that anything that does not include women, it is not good. Point of reference, it's God who said. When he found man, animals, trees, and everything he created, and there was no woman in that whatever, but he said it was not, and that's when he created a woman. So let's not engage, let's not lead, let's not navigate in this world feeling like we were an afterthought. Most men, when they want to suppress us in the name of religion, they will always say, this woman, no wonder she was not created at the first time. It was the no. In fact, we came in as a very important element to everything. Irrespective of everything that was created in the 6 days, including man, the world was boring without a woman. And that's when God said it was not good. Now, apart from my experience, I want to mention, and whatever I mention is because at the tail end, or as I continue to realize why I'm mentioning this in my profile. So I joined the Kenya Prison Service, and you know very well how prisons are. You know, African prisons are African prisons. I've been in Burkina Faso, did some prisons audit against Mandela rules, Tokyo rules, and Bangkok rules. All these are international standards that guide us in prisons work. I've been in Zimbabwe, also did audits of how prisons operate. Uganda, and then the UN, under UN in Democratic Republic of Congo, which is purely a post-conflict or active conflict area. And then Kenya, my own country where I am now. Prisons, African prisons are all the same. So the conditions that you see in your country are the same that apply here. The stigma that people experience when they work with the prisons, the notion that people who work for prisons are backward, they are educational, academic dwarfs. They are people who, a lot of things. And for us women, an additional one. They are promiscuous. They can't keep one man. They can't. All that happens in most of our African societies. And that's how prisons and prisons officers are tagged. So I pursued my undergrad and I did economics. I graduated in the year 2004 and joined Kenya Prison Service in the year 2005, not as a senior officer, but at the very junior level. I came in as a graduate. Our category was named graduate prison officers, and we came in, I think we were 36. Some of us dropped and went for better jobs. So we trained together with other recruits who are Form 4s, that is the KCSE diploma, KCSE diploma certificate. We trained together. And from that very early level with Kenya Prison Service, I started crafting my path. Even at that very junior level where I could escort prisoners at the Langata maximum prisons, stay with them in the hospital, night duty, day duty, do everything. I knew what I wanted. And that is something that as women, we normally fail to do. From the beginning of something, just check and see what is on the horizon and what you want. Because that is the thing that will motivate you. Otherwise, in African communities and in African society, for us to navigate to that level where I am now, because I feel like I've self-actualized as a prison officer, having all these awards and the rank that I am at and the leadership level that I am, I can say in my small way, I've self-actualized. So for us to reach there, you need to see it from where you are. It doesn't come like a dream. You need to work for it, invest in it emotionally, academically, socially, and in every part of you. So I didn't stop anything. I joined Kenya Prison Service, trained, and also went on with my social life. I'm now happily married. It's my 26th year now. And I have never, ever missed performing at work at the expense of my family, my family life, or my family has never missed anything just because I'm working with the Kenya Prison Service or at my leadership level. I've always tried to balance my work life as a woman. And let me tell you, as I go on, you'll find the forces that will always try to pull us down as women, both in leadership and in career. So before I go on, I want to mention that from where I stand, I don't want to go into all those details because I have 1.5 hours with you, and I know I'll have some time for you to ask me questions because this is mentorship, we interact. From where I stand now, I'm just waiting for my graduation. I've completed my postgraduate master's, graduated in 2023. I've also completed my doctorate degree in economics. I did undergrad economics, master's economics, and now doctorate in economics. I'll be graduating in August. I've with the Atlantic International University, and I am still a prison officer. I'm still a mother, a wife, a sister, a friend to anyone outside there. But what I do is that I've decided to brand myself for my vision and my dream. So back to our topic today, navigating navigating leadership in patriarchal structures or institutions. I wish to say that I'll tackle issues of women, leadership, and professional excellence under this. And the objectives that I wish you could write somewhere, because by the end I'll ask you if I've met what I've promised to you, is that number one, I would like you to understand what patriarchy is and how it operates in institutions such as prisons. Number two, recognize why prisons work is considered patriarchal in the African context. Still, that is about me. And then three, identify the professional excellence skills women need to succeed in leadership roles across now sectors, not only prisons. Now, from number three now, it's about you. The number four, appreciate the importance of mental health and self-worth in leadership journeys. Introduction. Under introduction, I wish to operationalize the terms that I will use now and then. I know the term leadership is different when you are dealing with issues of prisons, when you are dealing with the issues of other professions and careers. So I wish to operationalize some words by defining them and how I will use them in this presentation. So the first one is leadership. And in this, I will define leadership as the ability to influence, guide, and inspire others while taking responsibility for decisions and actions. Leadership is not about position or title. It begins with self-awareness, values, and action. I mentioned to you that before I became a leader that I am today, I was a very junior staff, but I crafted my path to leadership with the little things that I did, starting from what I trained at the university, economics, what I did at that very junior level during my induction course, to every development courses that I've taken both in Kenya and in the US. I have always had my eyes on the ball, and that is leadership. Branding myself for correctional leadership that I have taken, and I'm doing this with excellence. So the second one is navigating leadership, and that's the topic. Navigating leadership is the ability of a leader to guide themselves and others through complex situations, challenges, or organizational environments to achieve goals effectively and responsibly. I want to mention to you that leadership within the prison service is not a little thing, because especially where I am now, I'm an institution leader where we have juvenile boys, age 15 to 18 years who are in conflict with the law. Not the petty offenses, because those ones are dealt with by the children department and other departments. I'm talking about children who have committed offenses punishable by imprisonment. And those ones include murder, defilement, assault causing bodily harm, robbery with violence, those ones who are punishable by imprisonment, but by the time the courts were concluding on their cases, they are found to be of the age of 15 years and below 18 years. So I'm talking about handling inmates, prisoners, people who are criminals, for lack of a better word, but we call them children in conflict with the law. And in a male institution, definitely, by what Mandela rules, the Bangkok rules, and even the Tokyo rules states is that in such institutions, especially Mandela rules, where male inmates are held, most of the work is done by male officers. So few are women, less than 10, and the rest, because I have over 100 staff, are male. So it's about me as a leader guiding myself first. You know, you start with yourself. You can't market something that has not helped you. So you start by leading yourself, and then others, helping them to navigate complex. We have escape threats. We have issues like drug and substance abuse. Remember, these are not people who are in a church. They are in a correctional facility. Challenges and organizational environment. So that is the prison environment that I work in. Closed, where you give a command, you are a commander. From where you sit, everything that you speak, or everything that you say, even your actions, verbal or non-verbal, they send a strong message to your juniors. So that is the space that I serve. And then key points in leadership navigation. Number one is strategic direction, setting a clear vision and path for the team or organization. Number two is decision making, choosing the best course of action amid uncertainty or competing interests. Number three, adaptability, adjusting plans when obstacles or changes arise. Number four is influence and guidance, helping team members understand the path and stay aligned with objectives. And then fifth, ethical awareness, ensuring that decisions respect values, fairness, and well-being of stakeholders. Before I move on, I just want to mention something briefly on my work environment and in relation to patriarchy. So prisons and patriarchy in the African context. So why women are vulnerable as leaders? Because I've mentioned to you that right now I'm leading in an institution, a boys' institution. We have more male officers than women. Number one is that the space that I work, and most of you that you will work, not only in prison, maybe you'll be serving with the army, the police, or even we have other institutions which are not necessarily a uniformed service, but they are patriarchal in nature. So for us, Kenya prisons, we are in an African country. So we have our prisons. The system was developed during the colonial period. And for us, we had the British. So 1895 to 1963, prisons which started back in 1911 were under the colonial rule. So under that, we have what we call patriarchal reinforcement, where prisons reflected colonial patriarchy by controlling men's and women's roles, suppressing women's political participation, even participation in public service, because for us, Kenya prisons is under public service, and enforcing male authority structures. So even when women were allowed to come in, and that was in 1963, 1964, already men were in this business. They were leaders, they were taking care of prisoners, and during that time, we had fewer women anyway in prison. So why should we have a woman in prison? And yet it was male dominated in terms of prisoner population. So it was, prisons are highly militarized. They are male dominated and built on command, control, and punishment. That is the generic space on how prisons should be. But with with the coming in of respect for human rights, because issues of human rights were there, but for adoption in prison system came in later. So the humane treatment of offenders came in and crushed this, what we call the patriarchal reinforcement that was put by the colonial rule. So now we are talking of humane prisons, we are talking of rehabilitation, we are talking of reintegration, we are talking of trauma-informed treatment of inmates. Mr. Bildon mentioned that I'm an author and I've published 5 books. And my last book, I've talked about juvenile rehabilitation, trauma-informed, because that is what now I'm advocating in my institution. And I'm happy that I've been able to market this to so many institutions, as I mentioned, Kenya and beyond. And even the institutions in Kenya are now adopting a model that I developed after working with Kamai Girls Boston Institution, which is also a juvenile girls institution, correctional facility, and also where I am now. So we are talking about trauma-informed correction services, treatment of offenders, something that was not there. So this one already makes the space called prison service and prison work to be patriarchal. So I wanted to say that before I continue with other definitions. The other one that I wish to mention is the word patriarchal structures. So patriarchal structures are social, cultural, institutional, and organizational systems where power, authority, and decision-making are mainly controlled by men. An example is what I've just mentioned, colonial type, colonial prisons. They are controlled by men. But nowadays, with Kenya Prison Service, we have more women. Of course, at the apex, our leader is a man, but we have several women, including me, who are influencing policy, structure, procedures that respect human rights and also gender. So in patriarchal structures, the structures limit women's participation, voice, and opportunities. And that is what happens. Even as much as I say we are better off, I'm very sure if I allow you later, you can speak of how the prison systems are within your own jurisdictions. Formerly, before Kenya Prison Service was became gender sensitive in terms of facilities, we were being put together with men. And of course, men are more. We can have 500 men against the 10 women. So you'll find that women's special needs, the sanitary towels were never budgeted for. Until one time, as Kenya Prison Service, we decided we need now to move and fight for gender-sensitive budgets, gender-sensitive infrastructure, and we were separated. Now we have gazetted women institutions with their own autonomy, including the leaders. I've been in charge of 4 women institutions as the officer in charge, including 1 for girls. And the autonomy that is there today, at least women are taken care of in a special way, gender-specific care of women in prisons and girls. The other one that I wish to define is patriarchy. A belief system and social order that places men above women in status and authority. It is learned and responsible society. It's not natural or permanent. That is something that I wish to mention here. That patriarchy is not natural or permanent. It's something that is created, reinforced, and even learned. There's a theory by Albert Bandura, social learning theory. Albert Bandura came up with a theory that showed that some things are learned. You see them. You are born into a society where they feel women cannot be leaders. Women cannot be leaders. African society. Because, and I wish to mention also something about African patriarchy, especially within the leadership lens, is that it is deeply rooted. Patriarchy in African society is deeply rooted, socially, culturally, and institutionally. That in many societies, they perceive men as born leaders. They are people who even cannot go to class to be taught leadership skills, leadership styles. When a man is there, a man assumes leadership. You are somewhere, men and women, and then somebody a leader makes an announcement that, can I have one person come here and speak for that group? a man will volunteer, even without voting that person or even nominating, because African society always saw men as natural leaders. So the leadership, authority, decision-making power, and access to resources were traditionally, and up to now, some society, they felt like they are reserved for men, while women's leadership is limited, questioned, and conditional. So from a leadership lens, African patriarchy shapes who is seen as a natural leader. I've mentioned that, and how leadership is exercised, and whose voice carries legitimacy. So leadership is often associated with masculinity. That is African patriarchy. Strength, control, seniority, and public authority, while women are socially positioned as supporters, caregivers, or informal influencers rather than formal decision makers. Where I am now, as a leader, as a woman leader, my deputy is a male. But I want to thank God that for uniformed forces, we undergo training on submission, command. And I think that one cushions me, that I can give orders and people will follow. But when at a very far end or in a blurry way, you'll always see the Africanism in the people that you lead. They'll always view you in some way as a woman. So this is deep rooted in our African culture and how we were socialized. So this patriarchy, as I defined, now the African patriarchy that you are talking about, because I've defined patriarchy, I've described the African patriarchy. Now, the elements, the characteristics, how does it look like? I'm talking about this because as much as it's general, it will follow you to your office as a leader. So number one is male-centered authority. Leadership roles in politics, security, religion, and governance are historically reserved for men, with women entering later in fewer numbers. So even as you stand, even as you are given an opportunity as a woman leader and you sit there, remember this, there is male-centered authority. So most of the time, as I mentioned, where I am now, I will give an order, but I will at many times lean on my deputy, who is a male, to go and reinforce and make sure that whatever I've said is done. And you'll find how men are, they're saying, Mama has said, they call me Mama. Mama has said, but he's called by his name. The deputy has reinforced this. So there's that in African communities. And sometimes it takes time for us to embrace women in leadership. Number two is gender leadership expectation. Men are expected to lead publicly and decisively, while women are expected to lead privately, relationally, or through service. Relationally in a way that a man you can have your fellow male leader who will make a decision on something, and then you as a woman, you make the same decision, and they come and actually make it like a woman, the femininity in you. You see this woman, you see this, men will make the same decision and they are not questioned. But when you make it as a woman, they see the emotion. Women with their emotion. They'll always see you in the level of the relation that you have with in the society. And that is your law. You must be private. I did a research in my master's degree, and I investigated the female, how female participate in the East Africa community trade, because my area, as I told you, is economics. And in the findings, I found that women, as much as East Africa community is open, everyone in the capital market and everything, both production, consume at all levels of trade and trade and business, women participate more in the service sector. Why? Because that is how we have been cultured as Africans. Then cultural legitimization of male power. That's also another element of African society. Traditions, customs, and interpretation of culture are often used to justify men's dominance in leadership spaces. Men's dominance. You can be there leading a meeting. That's a simple level of leadership. You have been asked to lead a meeting, even at school level, because most of you are maybe at the level you are maybe pursuing your degree, because I saw the level of participation. And you find that when you're allowed or you're given a chance to even lead a meeting or a discussion group, when you have men around you, they will always stand to either even start regulating you in how you structure the meeting. Even before you start moderating the meeting, they'll want their voice to be in the structuring of the meeting more than the women. No, we start with this and then we do this. They want to lead you. Even as you remain there as a leader, they still want their voice to be higher, because that's how, as I mentioned, we are cultured as Africans. Conditional acceptance of women leaders. Women leaders are accepted only when they conform by being less assertive, more nurturing, or by not threatening male authority. Conditional acceptance. In African society, we have these things called societal. There's the societal expectation of a woman leader. Number one, you must be married. Yeah, you must be married. We have that in some society. I don't know if you're at your level. So you'll find that a woman who wants to rise, even at the political level, and be at the lowest level of leadership, MCA. We have the MCA, the world leadership, not even the governor. People will question, who is this lady? She's not even married. How can she lead us if she cannot? At times you are married and maybe God did not give you the blessings of having a child. Even being childless can be a standard where you are measured as a leader. Even at our level within the public service. You make a mistake and people say, you know, this lady, she divorced the husband. No wonder the institution is. You know, this lady, they gauge you with what they expect from you, the standards. And that is African leadership and patriarchy. And I normally tell people, I'm sorry to say that I'm not sorry, but let me mention to you that I'm a Christian, I'm not a Muslim. So if we have Muslims in the house, kindly, you'll forgive me for referring to the Bible, just because I don't want to refer to the Quran and maybe miss something and misguide you. So I wish to pull a story from the Bible. And this is the birth of Jesus and birth of John the Baptist. When you read that story, you'll find that God sent a messenger, same messenger, to Mary and to Elizabeth and Zachariah, who are couples. But in God's own wisdom, he sent the pregnancy of John the Baptist to an institution, that is married lady called Elizabeth and the husband called Zachariah, who are barren for so many years. So they had an experience, they had a good experience in marriage. And everyone who would wish to bring his only begotten son to this earth, because that's what God did with Jesus. If they were Africans, and today they will always put that pregnancy of Jesus within the whatever, the family system, the institution which is respected as Africans, and that is the marriage between Elizabeth and Zachariah. So the pregnancy and birth of Jesus would be within Elizabeth and between Elizabeth and Zachariah. But what did he do? Mary. And we all know that Mary was a virgin, the Christians who are in here. So being a virgin, this person was a youth like you there. This person was a youth without even a boyfriend. In fact, after that, the boyfriend, who is Joseph, opted, he was contemplating leaving him because he really wanted a virgin. Those are also expectations in African community and some religions. You should be married when you are a virgin. So there are so many expectations that are put towards women and girls that sometimes they pull us down as leaders. But see what God did. So what communication are we getting? That God does not have the mind of us here, Africans, who think like being married, being in an institution qualifies you for better things than the others. Jesus was born. And what did Elizabeth do? She helped Mary to navigate the stress. And she was able to keep her pregnant. Not like the mentors of today, who would even opt and even tell Mary, can you abort this? Because now, if someone is ready to marry you and this pregnancy is not this, yeah, we have that kind of expectations. Children outside wedlock, women who are single mothers and whatever. But the mind of God was different. The last one is higher scrutiny of women. And that is also another level of patriarchy in Africa that follows us, even as leaders within the prison service, even as I excel. This one follows me. Higher scrutiny for women. Women leaders are judged more harshly, must prove competence repeatedly, and face resistance not experienced by male counterparts. I don't overstress that because I mentioned it here in this other whatever. So those are the definitions that I felt like you should capture them well, so that when I continue and I mention them, you understand how I understand them from where I stand as your mentor. So the next one that I want us to touch on is professional excellence skills women need in leadership. The professional excellence, the skills women need in leadership. I mentioned it as part of what I'll tackle in my 1.5 hours with you. So professional excellence allows women to thrive, not just survive in patriarchal spaces. You've seen that. I've mentioned about patriarchy within prisons. It was based on colonial values. It was about militarization, issues of hardening, issues of punishment. So when you come in as a woman, you are seen like, how can this woman really do to these boys? You know, that's what someone said. One of my very senior respected, and unfortunately she was a woman. She said, Professor will be in charge of Shimo Boston, but she's too much in human rights. You know, I've been training human rights since 2006, human rights in prisons. I graduated in 2005, went to Langata Women Prison for practicals, came back at the Prisons College as a lecturer, and I've been there till 2015. And then I left, went to Democratic Republic of Congo for 2 years, then came back, joined Kamai Girls Boston as in charge, Machakos Women, then Busia Women Prison, both as in charge, and then the last one, Bundani Women Prison, as in charge. I have not handled men institution, but now I was posted in as the in charge. And that is a comment from my fellow woman. From my fellow woman. Will she manage boys? And she's used to women institutions, and she's so much in human rights in prisons. Will she really be able to correct those boys? You see, the boys who come here, one, they have been in crime, so they are children according to the law. And I think all of them, 100%, they have been in drugs. So everyone was asking, including now this one, who had guts to mention it until I had it, that will I be able to manage this? And I think before I lose this, I want to mention to you who are here that sometimes you need to fan your own flame. Fan your own flame. David, when he was sent by his parent, his dad, to take lunch to, I think, meals. I don't want to say lunch, maybe it was lunch at dinner, but he was sent by his father to send meals to his brothers who are in the battlefields fighting the Philistines. And also this is a story from the Bible. And when he went there, he saw the kind of things that Goliath was doing. And he wanted to know, who is this guy? And he asked, when I decide to pursue this man, what is there for me? You see, I love the energy with the young people. And I think that's what propels you to higher levels. You see what he asked? What can be, he was looking for the rewards. And I think most of us young people, when we venture into something, when we want to even lead, we are after, what will I take home? That's not bad, because sometimes that motivates you. There's a motivation theory that says, when you see things in something that benefit you as a person, that's what motivates you more, which is true. I'm also working today because I know by the end of the day, I'll have salary to support my family. And that is what David asked. When I kill this guy called Goliath, what will I take home? And he was told, you'll have this, you'll have this. Of course, there are those promises which were made. But listen to what his brothers said. They told him to go home. They told him to go home. Because to them, they saw David as a young boy. Just like today, when you join that institution, that organization, people see you like a young girl. Now, what can she bring here? What can she, the older women? Like this one now, who asked, now, Mwangombe, what will Professor take to Shimolate or Boston? And she's always in human rights training and whatever. Those boys will not be reformed. And I'm telling you, while here, I've received 2 awards of excellence in whatever, including the model that I mentioned, trauma-informed model, which I've now published it in my book. I did it while here. Excellence. So we are normally viewed, especially, and I'm sorry to mention this, by our older women, including me, we view young women like incapable. We feel, and sometimes if you hear those words and you internalize them, they become your self-talk. That every time you are challenged, I'm telling you, I have over 100 staff, and most of them are, in fact, I think 10 are women. The rest are men. So if I'm to carry the words that this lady mentioned, a lady that I saw as a mentor, then I will not be able to lead. Self-talk, they affect us. And that's why the 4th part, I'll tackle the issue of mental health. Then I'll allow Abiodun to bring you in for any questions and interaction. So this, the kind of relationship that we have, especially we receive, or the kind of affirmation that we receive from our older women, sometimes they are wanting. And how I wish that we be the Elizabeths who are able to reinforce Mary and support Mary. We saw the case of Sarah and the wife to Abraham. And also the story that I'm mentioning here. Now this is brothers now, David and the brothers. We have people all around us who are discouraging us to take responsibility. David wanted to take up a higher responsibility, killing Goliath. You want to take up a higher responsibility in your county, in your nation. I don't know, you are based where, Kenya or Nigeria or wherever you are. And you want to take up a responsibility because you've been in class and you know this one will bring a solution to poverty, to the poverty level, to whatever. But they are looking at you like what David's brother did. And I'm telling you, and I mentioned, and I want to reinforce you, do what David did. You fan your own flame. You fan your own flame. He decided to give a testimony that we expected to hear it from his brothers. For real, when you go out there and protect the flock, your family flock, because he was doing herding at basic, just domestic level, he went and killed a deer and a lion for the sake of their herd. I'm asking, was that something that the brothers did not know? That they would even mention it before even David mentions it to the commander? But they decided to keep it under. Sometimes when you perform and you are junior, you are younger, the older people, the senior people will want to keep it under the table. It has happened to me. This is mentorship, and I want to tell you things that have happened to me and I've experienced them, but they have never stopped me from excelling in my work and doing what I do. You perform very well, your boss knows, but when you go to the file, he refuses. I use the word refuse to put it there because he feels that by putting it there, people will see you better. But God helps people in a spectacular way. The other day, I received an award, an international award, on 18th December. Just, I think it's less than, we are not yet 18. Yeah, less than a month, by the International College of Peace Studies. International Peace Award winner 2025. I received it. And I'm telling you, it's just another Elizabeth, a lady who saw my profile, just like Abiodun has shared it, and said, you want to award people? I think there's a lady who qualifies for this. And she called me and said, can you forward your CV? And I did that. And let me tell you, I was one of the people who were awarded, and amongst the people whose profile was seen to be very rich. Let me tell you, I couldn't imagine the David. Sometimes you can kill your Goliath without affirmation of the people, especially if those people are not supporting your dream. both at family level, as it happened to David and his brothers, or mentors, because the story of Sarah and the housemaid is one of them, where she helped the girl. Sometimes we have people who encourage you into doing something. I think it's very common with us ladies. You meet an aunt, sometimes your own friends or who are senior than you by age, and they tell you, oh my God, you can go ahead, pursue. But when you succeed, they fight you. And that's what happened. The lady was chased away to the bush when Isaac was born. So it happens sometimes in our relationship. These are things that are being replayed. They're in our holy books. So we cannot say that they're happening to us by that we never happen to other people. But there's a way that we can navigate. So I want us to look at professional skills now to navigate this. For us now to excel in leadership, to navigate patriarchal leadership. And this patriarchal leadership with the element of women, the spice of women. I've mentioned about these women who come in to use men to suppress you, to use men to fight you. We have them. So the first one is hard skills. What hard skills do in your life? They build your credibility. Let me tell you, they might want to put you under the table several times, but if you have hard skills, then you will, those will speak for you wherever or whenever. I've only met Mr. Deleke in a class where we were pursuing an SGBV instructor course, but he listened to me speak and he followed me and said, Ma'am, I wish I could have you close with my programs and to support. And I told him, why not? Because he's like my very young brother. I said, why not? What brought me into this platform? My hard skills, my credibility. And hard skills, what do? They give you visibility. He saw me, and now I'm here. Authority and independence. For you to be deployed to work with international organizations like I mentioned earlier in my profile, UN, International Institute, the IIJ, the IPSTC, Raoul Wallenberg International. For you to be there, you should be an authority. I'm a subject matter expert. How do you do that? Because you don't go there fumbling. Let me tell you, men will shut you down. You go there without content and knowledge, men will shut you. Because I've already mentioned to you, even before you stand and say, my name is Jostinah, I'm the in charge. Before even you mention your leadership level or whatever, already you have something that came before you. And it's on their table. And that's what I mentioned. The African patriarchy already spoke for you even before you appeared. So for you to gain credibility, to have authority and independence, then hard skills will help you. Number one is education and professional qualifications. Let me tell you, and don't tire going back to class, online, virtual, or physical. As I'm talking now, I've told you I'm already booked for a graduation, PhD in economics, my doctorate. I have pursued a master's in economics. I'm an authority there. And my undergrad. That is as much as professionally is concerned. Then, because I work for Kenya Prison Service, I have gone back to school and I'll be graduating in November and pursued a diploma in counseling psychology. And right now, when I speak even to the inmates, I can tell them with Erik Erikson, psychosocial development theory, I know it. The Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs, I know that this is disturbing this stuff because he's stuck at the level of esteem and help this person. Because we need to remain there, not because we are flower girls, but because we belong there. We are an authority there. So make sure that you go back to class. Short courses. I'm an SDBV instructor, trainer. I'm a professor of human rights and gender. All this, I have several courses, curriculum development. I've pursued that in the US, Colorado. I traveled for 2 weeks. I sat there and learned this. So when I sit to negotiate, to speak, to discuss with men, I speak like an authority. So they should look for other things to exclude me. But in terms of hard skills, I have branded myself. Digital literacy. You don't need to have men to type for you work when you are even a leader. Have your laptop. Like right now, I'm seated in my house and I'm doing this. I don't need a secretary to do this. In the office, I have the secretaries, the whatever. But have something that you can, if men say today that they are not going to support you, because now you are the only leader and you can sit and do your work. Digital literacy and technology skills. Financial literacy, how to manage your money. You know, women, we are too humanitarian and philanthropists by nature. And you want to carry your family, you want to carry your own biological family, your husband, your children. Sometimes you even forget yourself. So even before you receive your salary, you've already finished your cash, your money. Now you enter into stress, depression, you cannot perform. Very quickly, men will come and replace you as a leader because you'll start having tantrums and just rushing people around. You see, that's how we project when we have mental health as women. So financial literacy, how you manage your money and you pay your bills. Research and analytical skills. Yeah. Sometimes we gossip. Women were naturally born. In fact, why God brought us is because a man had no one to talk to. So we came in to talk. So sometimes we gossip. Eh? Sometimes we receive even information which is official in a gossip way. Have research and analytical skills. Be someone who you can follow things up beyond the gossip, beyond whatever you had, and credibility will be there. Policy understanding and institutional knowledge, leadership and management skills. That's very important. Skill mastery reduces resistance and increases influence. That's your take home. Soft skills is another thing. Sustaining leadership, you need soft skills. You need soft skills, young leaders. And the first one is that emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, I didn't want to go into this because I didn't want to dwell much, but let me define it. I have it in my emotional intelligence. The ability to recognize, understand, manage, and express emotions in healthy ways, both your own emotions and those of others. Once you have stress at home, don't carry it to the workplace. You know, women, we have caregiving responsibilities. As I mentioned to you, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm someone. So sometimes we are overwhelmed, even at home. Some of us even suffer SGBV, emotional, social, physical, and we attempt to carry it at the workplace. That one will fail you as a leader. Emotional intelligence. Before you go to work, make sure that as you bathe every stress and go to the workplace as a leader. Assertiveness without aggression. Boundary setting. Boundaries, set your boundaries. Later on, I'll show you the few areas, boundaries that you can set. Negotiation and diplomacy. Negotiation and diplomacy. You must be diplomatic. Diplomacy. Then, clear communication skills, confidence, and presence. Be present. Don't allow some pseudo people to work for you. Don't pick some people to speak for you. Sometimes, especially for those who are married, you allow your husbands to run offices. Because of whatever you mentioned, the African patriarchy, your husband feels that you should consult him before even making a decision in that workplace. And he's not even your deputy, he doesn't even work with you in the same organization, but he wants you to consult. What can I do to that stuff? What can I do? We have some money. That one will bring you down. Separate that. Separate decision making of a man in the house and your decision making skills and prowess at work as a woman leader, not a wife. Separate those. Your confidence is very important. Soft skills are survival tools in male-dominated environments. That's what you're taking home. The knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Women leaders, you should, when you are engaged in any level of leadership at school or even any working environment, make sure that number one, you understand the rules and cultures, rights and responsibilities, starting with your own. Then gender dynamics and power relations, then know when to challenge and when to strategically navigate systems. Not every day that you wake up to challenge. And then don't have inferiority complex related to the African patriarchy, the one that I mentioned. Oh men, I don't want to go back there. I mentioned, and I think those who are noting down, but later on I'll give Mr. Biodun some notes to share with you. Don't carry those, because when you carry those tags that are related to women in leadership, you will serve with inferiority, what you call inferiority complex. So whatever you're supposed to say in one word, you say it in 10 words. You become a nuisance, and people look at you as a woman, not a leader. You overstress issues because you feel, I've told you what I've done. Because this is mentorship. I have a male officer who is my deputy. When I feel like this thing really needs a lot of muscle, I share with him to share with them. Then I do a write-up, sign it, and say, everybody should do. So I send a memo, he does verbal mobilization. Because they want to listen to men. He does. But the responsibility remains with me. I delegate to him. And also I make it in writing that the order is coming from me. That will help you. What knowledge would make you more the reflection prompt here is that as women, the skills, the soft skills that we place or put forward will protect us emotionally and professionally. Just know that. Now, the last part is mental health, because I can't sign out without that. Personally, I have a personal psychologist. I attend psychotherapy occasionally when I feel overwhelmed. As a leader, you can't go on. It's good to vent out. It's good to share. But some levels of leadership, like where I am, it comes with command. The moment your juniors know more about your issues, they might use it against you. So you need to have a healthy way to express yourself, a healthy way to express your stressors, to your stress, a healthy way to get help. We have so many people outside there who are psychologists, counselors. They have been trained and they can support you without gossiping you around. Because what brings us down? Sometimes you share something and within a month, it's shared everywhere. Now people start judging your leadership, your decisions in relation to the problem that you're undergoing. You tell someone that I have an issue with my husband, I have an issue with my child. Every time you come and just talk like a leader, something has stressed you up, and you tell people, I don't want to condone this anymore. They will murmur and say, we were told that she has a problem with her husband. So maybe last night she was slapped. You see, that is what happens. So those are dynamics that you should also understand in navigating leadership in particular. And when some men, especially those who don't want to see you lead, get such, they will use it against you. Nowadays, we have AI tools that are around that are very good in trolling women. They'll pick your lip sync, I don't know what they do it, and then they put another man there in a very compromising way, and it's flashed on social media. And we forward, even fellow women forward. Oh, this one is not respecting her marriage, because they know there are things that African community look at them as priority. And number one is women and their fidelity issues. So they use that. You want to rise up as a politician, they use that to bring you down. So we have such things, so we should protect and the information that we give out, especially in relation to what we share. So mental health is very important for you ladies, and I wish not to take any part approach. I wish to take the humanistic approach. I am a proponent of humanistic psychology, and let me just mention a bit on the background. This one is a psychology approach that was anchored on the works of Abraham Maslow in his hierarchy of needs. Those of you who have read about him, he wrote about, he listed 5 needs that are fulfilled. And he said they're in hierarchy. So you start with the physiological needs. Have I eaten? Am I clothed well? This shelter. Then you move to the next level. When these ones are fulfilled, you move to the next. That is safety needs. You move to the next, sense of belonging. You move to the next, self-esteem. And then at the apex, we have what we call self-esteem, self-actualization. Another person who supported humanistic psychology is Carl Rogers. And Carl Rogers brought in the core conditions. The core conditions. Because for him, he stated that in his theory, he stated that human beings can self-actualize now, using Abraham Maslow's word, if they're given the right environment. So women are not a problem. Women are not a problem. But when we are given the right environment, we can unleash our potential and we can lead well. But most of the time, the patriarchy in the African society, which follows that institution, becomes a constraint that sometimes we don't perform. We are either put into leadership and within 2 years you are brought down because, oh, she was too emotional, or she couldn't, such like things. But most of the time, I feel as a follower of Carl Rogers or the Rogerian psychology and the Abraham Maslow hierarchy of needs, whatever, I feel most women fail because of the environment. And that's why I want to bring this last discussion on mental health as important to your navigation into leadership, especially in patriarchal structures. So according to humanistic psychology, the emphasis is on one, inherent human worth. So whether male or female, we are all human beings. We are all equal. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948, when you look at the Bible itself, the Quran, we are all created in God's image. Number two is that the emphasis as a humanist is on personal growth. Personal growth is what I mentioned. Your personal growth relates to the hard skills that you acquire. You can't tell me that you have a secondary school diploma and you have and tomorrow you want to be a leader in an institution where we have people with PhDs. So your personal growth is very important. Personal growth does not mean academically only. I mentioned in the hard skills, I don't want to go back there. We have education, we have digital skills, we have soft skills, also your emotional intent, all that is about your personal growth. Then self-acceptance. First of all, I mentioned about inferiority complex. Sometimes how you are treated at home, you carry it to the office. And you feel that because at home, your husband tells you that you cannot make any decision, then when you go there, you don't see men as your juniors or your workers, you see them as your husband. So you go there and you want them to lead. So you are just a leader as a flower girl, you want them, because at home, your husband leads. So you must separate this. As I mentioned, I want to reiterate. Your position as a woman at home, a wife, a mother, and your position at the workplace where you are needed as a commander, as a manager, as a CEO. Separate the two. One lady called, there's this marriage of two men in the Bible, not two men, a man and a lady. One of them was very beautiful and intelligent, and another one was very stupid, Nabal. Abigail and Nabal. These people, the two of them were couples. I think they even used the same pillow. But one of them, Abigail, is described in the Bible as one who was intelligent and wise. The husband was stupid. And one time, Abigail, her husband died. And that is Nabal. Then, man of God, David, called him to go and sent for her to go and be a queen. But because in the house of Nabal, she was a woman who was trampled by, I think there was a lot of SGBV happening. What is mentioned there is that Nabal was very drunk, and that's Abigail had to go and meet David to ask for, to apologize for what Nabal had said. And that story and the story. But I want to capture the area was when Nabal died and Abigail was, and David sent for Abigail to be his wife. Abigail did not realize that the men who came to pick her were servants. She said, yes, my lords, I will, she mentioned something like, I will wash your feet and whatever. She forgot that she's going at the level where she'll be a queen. Sometimes when your what do you call, your self-esteem is low at home, you can carry it to your office. So that's why I'm saying your mental health is very important, but make sure you separate both. You can go and check that story later, Nabal and Abigail, that story, and what Abigail did the day that David sent for her to take her as a wife. That was pure a show that whatever happens at home might happen to you when you're outside. It's a mindset. It can change your DNA, your emotional DNA, that you forget yourself. Sometimes you forget that you are a leader. Your juniors are supposed to greet you. You greet them first. You know, for us, we have, with the discipline forces, there's a way that we operate. So because in the house, in African culture, a woman should greet a man first, say hi, or even, you go to the workplace and you're doing things in the African way. In that way, men will discredit you, let me tell you. So make sure that you know your position, your etiquette as a leader at that office. Then women leaders, what do we face? We have emotional labor, burnout, pressure to overperform, and then fear of being judged. This is the mental health. These are the mental health issues that we carry to the office. Emotional labor, burnout, pressure to overperform, fear of being judged. We don't know that you had a quarrel with your husband at home, you carry it at the workplace. People are, Madam, what's wrong with Prof? You are carrying it because you fear that people heard what happened inside your bedroom. So let's separate these things. Then leadership, my fellow young leaders, without mental well-being leads to burnout and not success. I tell you for free. So what I need you, what I'll advise you to do is that, number one, you should have self-acceptance. That's your number one tool. Apart from doing what I've told you I normally do, if you like it, register with a psychologist. Make sure that you occasionally, like once per month or in a fortnight, visit, go and pour your heart there in a safe place where no one will come out and flash it outside there and troll you on social media. In a safe place, make sure that you drain. Don't leave it in you. It's a sponge. And once it's full, it will drain in your office. And it will really embarrass you as a woman leader. So self-acceptance, tell yourself that you are enough. Because after you have the requisite hard skills and soft skills, if you have acquired those, then know that you are enough. Number two, authenticity. You do not need to imitate male leadership styles. Be authentic. Be yourself. Boundaries. Rest is not a weakness. Rest is not a weakness, ladies. You come from your workplace, tell your husband, today I'm so tired. If we can't help one another cook this, then I request that we pick something from the stalls. We come. It's okay. An understanding husband will always tell you it's okay. Then work the whole day, come in the house, do washing, do whatever pressing. You press your husband clothes, your children clothes. You prepare breakfast very early. You go to work, and you didn't have enough sleep. Your mood issues come in, and moods, they're interpersonal. You flash them to your juniors. Now they start running away from you. Before you know it, you are reported to your bosses and you are demoted. Rest is not a weakness. Then growth. Leadership is a journey, not perfection. I can lead with strength and humanity. That's what I want you to tell yourself, that you can lead with strength and humanity. And without much ado, I wish to stop there and leave you with this, that patriarchal institutions are real, but they are not unchangeable. Women who combine skills, knowledge, resilience, and mental well-being do more than survive. They transform systems. My final statement is that the future of leadership belongs to women who are skilled, grounded, and whole. Thank you, and God bless you. Back to you, Abidu. Is the moderator in? I'm done. Or he dropped? Can you hear me? Anyone?
Yes, I can hear you.
Were you,
Yes, I can hear you.
were you able to follow through? It's okay. It's okay. So, were you able to follow through? Or I lost you? What you're doing? I can see you there.
Yes, I can hear you. Well, actually, though, I had a couple of network challenges along the line, but I was still able to follow through. And I also believe that the students were also able to follow through.
Yeah, I'm done. I was inviting you.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, thank you so much, Madam Jostinah. That was a wonderful session. So now the floor is open for questions, at least from the student to Madam Jostinah, so that she can take time to address the question based on the lecture that we have received this evening. So the floor is open. Just unmute yourself and go ahead and ask a question. Anybody with any question? Just unmute yourself and ask your question. Hello, is anybody there? Are we here?
Yes, we are here. For me, I have no question.
Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Okay. To our presenter, man, thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. Like, I learned a whole lot. Like, you just opened my eyes to so many things. Like, before now, I've got to understand that being a female leader, that there's a whole lot attached to it, the stigma that comes with it and all of that. And I'm so happy and glad the way you open my eyes to different things, that despite being a woman, you can still be the best whatever you're doing, right? Like, of recent, I got to understand that every woman, like, we have this each week in every month, that there's, right. And the way you just explained that, how we can actually navigate through that, that whatever happens at home stays at home. And sometimes when we are overwhelmed and we feel like, oh, that we need someone to pour, like, a safe space to talk about what we are going through, that we should actually engage in therapy in that aspect, to get to, like, air our view and feel like, oh, someone understands us, and then to validate what we are going through. So I think that's an aspect in our African culture that some people use underestimate. That, like, what's the essence of therapy and all of that. But you've actually opened our eyes to the importance of therapy. Like, it's very, very necessary as a leader. You need it, because sometimes when overwhelmed and you know that, oh, I have someone that can actually talk to and listen to me and all of that, it gives you that energy to want to do more and be more of your man. Thank you so much for this presentation. I don't actually have any question. You just nailed it. Thank you, ma.
Thank you so much for affirming that. Yes, as women leaders, we have sometimes information is a weapon. I'm sorry to mention to the other gender, especially those who are in politics. I've seen them cry so much. They get little information and they flash it outside there. This is a woman who doesn't respect her husband. And that time you're in a campaign, whatever forum. Let me tell you, before you get the energy to stand and even say what you wanted to say, already that has been used. So it's information is a weapon in leadership that you really need to keep it in a very safe space. Don't stay without getting someone to listen to you. You get me right? So don't be secretive, because sometimes even keeping things inside in your heart might be the reason why you are stressed up and fail as a leader. So make sure that you speak to someone, but that person, that space should be safe, that whatever you say remains within the confines of the walls and the ears. And the best place that I can refer you all is with a registered psychologist or counselor. Those are people who have their own ethics in the way they transact with their clients, and they cannot let you down to a level of flashing any information against you. Thank you. Sam, thank you for that.
Hello, everyone. Are you able to hear me? My name is Patricia from Uganda. I wanted to say thanks, Professor, for the very informative session. I have a question, and it's arising from one thing you really elaborately mentioned as one of the skills we need to have in order to excel. You really did mention it, and it kind of sank home. So I wanted to ask, it's about not having inferiority complex. And you mentioned how this sometimes is really coming from the place where someone is coming from and all that. So I wanted to ask, from what would you recommend, or what are some of the practical ways that persons who find themselves dealing with this can actually use to overcome it or to get out of it? So what are some of the practical ways of overcoming inferiority complex?
So first of all, before I give you the ways, maybe we look at inferiority complex, because it's a term that I agree that I used it in my several times in my presentation. So inferiority complex is when a person feels inadequate. You feel very inadequate. You've been appointed as a leader. You have an appointment letter in that cabinet, or even posted on the wall there. It has been announced even over TV, over whatever, but you still feel inadequate, less important, or unable to meet expectations. So what brings that, number one, is that it comes about when you compare yourself. You compare yourself, not in a positive way, but in a negative way. Huh? And when you do that, you remember one of the points I mentioned, and it's here, where I talked about authenticity. It's, let me go back to my presentation. Yeah, I mentioned it here. Authenticity. Here. Humanistic principles for women leaders. You do not need to imitate male leadership styles. And in inferiority complex, you are not comparing yourself to men, but also to fellow women. There was a woman who was in that position before you came in. And that woman did so much. Sometimes, for us, like for me, when I do something, I do painting and whatever. And even when you report within 1 month, people are telling you, hey, there's this lady who was here. She did this, she did that. And all of a sudden, you start feeling inadequate. You start feeling like, am I going to meet the expectations of the position that I'm holding? now comparing yourself with the other leader, but in a negative way. And what does this do with this comparison and whatever? It affects your confidence. So when you have issues with your confidence, the inferiority complex reflects, it cannot be seen. But when you stand and you have no confidence, sometimes as a leader, you talk to people. I talked about effective communication skills as a soft skill that you carry as a leader. You stand, for us, we have parades for uniform staff. So many times you have people to address, parade, and you stand and you cannot speak. Your confidence is gone because every time you stand, there is the negative self-talk. Inadequacy is in what you tell yourself. It's intrinsic. It's intrapersonal. Intra, not inter. It's inside you. So it also affects your relationships with people and even leadership. And sometimes I have seen, because this is a mentorship, I want to give you a good example. One day in a certain place, I took over as the in charge. And people know my track record in terms of performance. And the lady that I replaced had issues with relationships with the staffs. Then within 2 weeks, I had brought in all staffs. We were now having morning teas and we were enjoying. And this lady felt so bitter about it that she literally started calling staff. I see you are now, so you preferred Professor Mwangombe and not me. You never did one. And sometimes it's about your soft skills. The difference between you and that person, because you are recruited as a leader in a very competitive way. So you went through the interview. You are picked with your papers, the hard skills. So hard skills don't lie. But what affects you in the area of this complex, the inferiority complex, is your soft skills, what you tell yourself beyond that paper. And the effective ways, you've asked me which are the practical ways that you can deal with it. First of all, you should have sessions of self-awareness. And this one you can achieve it better when you work with a therapist. Self-awareness, when you look at the psychology, you should look at the ideal self. You have the ideal self and the real. The ideal, there's that ideal person that you want to be, and there's that real that you are. There are things that you cannot do, and you know yourself that these ones I cannot do. But there's that ideal that is related to the person who left, and then you took over, and you feel that is now the ideal thing that you want to do. But the real you cannot achieve. Once you are able to enumerate, this is what I can do at this level, this is what I cannot do, and you accept it. That's the level of self-awareness. So you feel, once you're aware of you do a SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and what do you call the SWOT? Threats. Once you know your strengths, your weaknesses, then you can identify the opportunities and the threats that can affect you in leadership. That's self-awareness. Then positive self-talk. As I mentioned there, the feeling of inadequacy comes in as a negative self-talk, which is intrapersonal. People have not told you. Sometimes there's a way that the devil brings it. Let me now blame the devil. But sometimes just the synchronicity. That I feel I'm inadequate. Then out of anywhere, your junior says, and madam, you see, this is not how George was doing it when he was at your level. Now the devil has brought in this, is now trying to synchronize what you are feeling inside and what you feel people are saying. And when you hear this now, it makes you now feel now. So everybody is saying, I am not adequate in this position. Positive self-talk is very important. You speak positively about, you tell yourself that I'm able. Even from the time you leave your home to the time you step in that office. Then set achievable goals. Don't set goals because you're competing with another person. I said one of the reasons is when you compete with other people in a negative way. Don't set goals because you want to achieve and bring that company to the level of the other company. No. There's a way the company is endowed in terms of resources. Human resource, the physical resources, the infrastructure is different. So don't say now I'm the in charge of, sorry to mention, Coca-Cola company, I want to make it better than the other one. Now you want to set whatever goals, just to, you are focusing on what to achieve and you're not even looking at what is there. to help, because sometimes the means justifies the end. Yeah, setting achievable, smart goals. Then lastly, avoid toxic comparisons. Avoid, because you have your unique strength and life experiences. Just look at yourself as a very unique person, very unique. Then the rest, to even improve in that, is what I mentioned. Have the right hard skills. Don't, there's a lot of corruption in Africa, and I don't think it's bad when I mention that. So don't corrupt your way to leadership as a woman. And there are several ways in which we can do that. And I'm sure the women here can never do that. So let me mention it, because you are not in that bracket. There are those who will even befriend a man so that they get a position. That one can give you a very, very bad level of inferiority complex. Because the day that person is not picking your phone, and especially if that person is not close to you, is a sponsor somewhere, or you break that relationship, you also feel like now they'll know that I didn't fit in this position. So make sure that whatever you have in your hand is something that it's not something that you are given. It's something that you what do we call it? Like you earned in terms of your skills, both hard skills and soft skills. Thank you. I hope I've
Thank you so much. You really answered my question well.
see, Leti Patricia from Uganda. I hope you're okay with my answer, or you need to add some.
I'm very okay with your response. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you and welcome.
Great, that was amazing. Yeah, thank you. Any other question? Okay. In the absence of no further question, I think we'll be calling it a wrap this evening. And I so much want to appreciate Madam Professor Jostinah. Thank you for the partnership. Thank you for the cooperation. And I tried doing recording of the sessions, but because of my network that was going off and on, we may not be able to have everything in a stretch, but I think we have them in bits. So we'll be sharing with us. And in case there's anybody who wants the personal contact of Madam Jostinah, I will gladly share so that we can take it further from here. So thank you all for coming. Hopefully the next session will be posted on the platform when the next session will be coming up. Tambi Belding, I can see your hand. Do you want to ask a question? You can unmute. Tambi.
No, sorry, it's a mistake. Sorry.
Okay, it's a mistake. Okay, fine. Right, no problem. So that'll be fine. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. It's a pleasure. So we'll be taking attendance. So if you attended the session, just please go on the platform and indicate. But we also have the record here as well. So thank you everyone. Madam Jostinah, thank you. It's lovely having you around. So to everyone, I want to say have a lovely rest of the day. If it is not yet very dark in your part of the world. So thank you. Bye-bye. Have a lovely time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma. Have a lovely time.
Same to you.
Thank you, ma.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye. Bye, Adeleke.
Bye-bye. Madam Jostinah.
Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.